Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team PPR mock draft on the second overall spot using FantasyPros Draft Wizard. The roster positions for today's mock are going to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and 5 bench spots. But before we can get on into this mock draft, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. So the draft begins here with Ja'Marr Chase. So at the 102, in my opinion, there are a couple of players you could go with. You could go with Bijan, you could go with Saquon Barkley, or you could go with Justin Jefferson. Personally, those are the players that I would be comfortable selecting at the 102, assuming that Ja'Marr Chase is gone at the 101. Now, we have talked about this recently, but there has been a rise in the stock of Bijan Robinson in the fantasy football world, and a fall in the stock of Saquon Barkley. As you can see, over the last couple of weeks, he has fallen from the running back 1 unanimously, in my opinion, to falling to the running back number 3. I still have him ranked as my running back 1, and I still would be very comfortable taking him at the 1.02. If you did not want to take Saquon here and you wanted to go with Bijan instead, or if you wanted to go with Justin Jefferson, I'm not really going to argue with you too much on that. I do really like Jahmyr Gibbs, but frankly, I would not feel comfortable selecting him at the 102, knowing the facts are the facts, right? And this is a team that wants to use David Montgomery on the goal line. This is a team that doesn't want Jahmyr Gibbs to be a bell cow running back. Now, can Jahmyr Gibbs still be a top 3, top 2, maybe even the RB1 with David Montgomery there? Of course, he could, but if your touchdown upside is limited to me, I just don't want to pull the trigger on you at the 1.02 unless we get to late August, right? And we're just hearing all of this news about how, hey, they're really reducing the workload of David Montgomery. Then sure, we can bang the drum aggressively for Jahmyr Gibbs at the second overall pick, or even earlier than I would comfortably take around the 5th or 6th pick. Then that's fine. But with what we know right now, I just would not want to do that. So I think we're going to go ahead and draft Saquon Barkley here at the 102. I feel very confident in Saquon Barkley's projection. This is one of the best rushing offenses in the National Football League. Saquon Barkley is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and they have one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the NFL. Sure, it does get a little bit annoying when Jalen Hurts tush pushes in a touchdown that Saquon Barkley deserved, but it is what it is. I still feel confident in him. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the Madden curse is just magically going to take him out back and whack him with a lock and a sock. So I still feel pretty confident in Saquon Barkley. But again, there are a couple of other players you could get in that range. And honestly, with how nervous people seem to be getting on Saquon Barkley, it really wouldn't shock me if in some drafts he fell to around the 4th or the 5th pick, and potentially even further if people start to get a lot hotter on guys like Ashton Genty and Christian McCaffrey. So after one was Saquon, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, CeeDee Lamb, Jahmyr Gibbs, BTJ, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ashton Genty, Malik Neighbors, and Puka Nacua. The second round is Drake London, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, Brock Bowers, Devon Achane, Garrett Wilson, Lad McConkey, AJ Brown, and Bucky Irving. Now, I do think taking Nico Collins at the 105 is just a little bit too high for me. Now, I am one of the biggest fans of Nico Collins. I've been a big fan of Nico Collins even when Davis Giraffe Neck Money Mills was throwing him the football a couple of years ago. But I would feel a lot more safe taking a guy like CeeDee Lamb, taking the Jahmyr Gibbs over him. Again, I still like Nico Collins, but I definitely like him more towards the turn of the first round compared to going all the way at the 1.05. So we did see just 4 running backs go inside of the first round, and a lot of fantasy leagues have become a lot more wide receiver heavy early on, just because of the fact that it just feels a lot more safe to take a wide receiver early in full PPR, half PPR leagues. But in some of your guys' home leagues, that might not be the case. There might be 6 or even 7 running backs going in the first round. I think 4 is going to be a little bit more out of the ordinary. I think 5 or 6 is going to be a lot more typical than that, because Derrick Henry in the second round, Christian McCaffrey in the second round, Devon Achane in the second round are great values in my opinion. Now, I think Kyron Williams is a good running back, but this is a guy with fumbling issues that needs touchdowns to be valuable, right? This is a guy that lives in the end zone, right? He has a palatial estate, a Jeff Bezos level fucking mansion in the end zone because he scores so many touchdowns. But I have read some things that are a little bit more like, hey, maybe they want to use more of a committee. Maybe they want to give the other running backs on the team a chance, like Jarquez Hunter or Blake Corum. And with Kyren depending so heavily on the touchdowns, that does definitely scare me, and it is definitely, in my opinion, just a outright bad pick in the second round. In the third round, I'm a lot more open to that. So we are back up on the clock here. Our team goes as follows. It's Saquon Barkley. So we're going to go ahead and hide the drafted players. Available are all the quarterbacks and all the tight ends outside of Brock Bowers. Best running back available would be Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall. Best wide receivers available are going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, and Rashee Rice. Now, if I can start my draft with Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, I'm going to do that every single fucking time because I believe those are two running backs that could easily finish inside of the top three. Josh Jacobs, to me, is one of the most heavily underrated running backs going in fantasy football drafts right now. The fact that you can get him in a lot of leagues inside the third round is a straight up heist Ocean's 11 that you can do. He started off the season relatively slow last year. 4 straight finishes outside of the top 22, and then after that, it was wheels up for multiple games inside the top 5, a huge stretch from week 11 through week 15. I've always been a big fan of Josh Jacobs since Vegas with the Raiders, and I believe that his upside is significant in a Green Bay Packers offense that could be one of the best offenses in the National Football League. So to me, getting Josh Jacobs there, who I think has top 5 potential, is an amazing pick, and I think he should be going in the second round of most drafts. Like, he should be going ahead, in my opinion, of Chase Brown. He should be going ahead of Bucky Irving. He should be going ahead of Kyren Williams. You could even argue that maybe he should go up ahead of a guy like Derrick Henry. So I am a big fan of Josh Jacobs. I believe heavily in this Green Bay Packers offense. This is a guy that has solid pass catching ability. And again, starting the draft with Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, those are two running backs that can legitimately be the running back 1 and the running back 2. And since this isn't a league where you need to be starting 3 wide receivers every single week, to me, going double running back when I can get 2 studs like Saquon and Josh Jacobs, I'm going to be taking advantage of that a lot if that is able to happen in my home league. Now, Chase Brown is calling my name, and honestly, I do hate drafting 3 running backs in a row because with how much more heavily wide receivers come off the board, it kind of is going to feel like a wasteland once we get back in the 4th round. Now, it's not because I don't like wide receivers that go in the 4th round or the 5th round, but it is because I don't love the 4th round wide receiver or the 5th round wide receiver being my wide receiver 1, right? Now, I do believe that Chase Brown has that top 5 running back upside. Now, I actually don't think Chase Brown is the most talented running back in the NFL, right? I think you can make an argument that Saquon's the best running back. You may be able to nitpick your way into an argument where you're like, Josh Jacobs is the best running back in the NFL. I don't think you can make that argument for Chase Brown, but I do think you can make the argument of his fit in the offense, his workload in this offense is enough to elevate him to potentially being a top 3 running back that you can get inside of the 2nd or the 3rd round. But again, for me, I just don't feel very good about having those 4th or 5th round guys at the wide receiver position as my wide receiver 1. So I am going to go with a wide receiver here. If you wanted to go tight end or quarterback in the 3rd round, I'm a lot more open to doing so. Trey McBride and Devontae Adams come off of the board. Jackson Smith-Njigba is ranked as the wide receiver 12 on Fantasy Pros. I don't buy that draft price. Now, I think Sam Darnold's fine. I think the Seahawks offense is going to be fine, and they lose DK Metcalf, but they bring in Cooper Kupp. I think JSN's a very talented player. I just don't know if I want to be all over him at that draft price. I like T. Higgins better. I like Tyreek Hill better. I like Rashee Rice better, so I won't really be drafting a lot of JSN, even though I do believe that he is a pretty talented player. So for me, it's either going to be T. Higgins or Tyreek Hill. This time we are going to lean more with the upside. I think T. Higgins is a lot safer of a bet, but I think Tyreek Hill has that league winner ability written all over him. Now, he could be a big, fat, massive bust pause, right? This could be the type of bust where you haven't cranked off in a couple of days. Maybe you're on vacation with your family. You come back home, you get the Jergens out, and it's a straight up explosion Mount Vesuvius, right? This could be a terrible pick, a disaster of a pick, but Tyreek Hill's the kind of guy who could score 30 plus points in any given game. He's the kind of guy that could finish as the wide receiver 1, and getting him 26th overall, I am just going to be taking those shots. I don't believe triple wrapping your team with condoms with every single pick is necessarily the smartest idea for fantasy football. Obviously, you don't want to be taking these insane risks in round 1, right? Like at the 2 pick, I might love Malik Neighbors, but I'm not taking Malik Neighbors at the fucking 102, right? I'm not taking these unnecessary risks, right? I'm not reaching on guys, but I think Tyreek Hill should be honestly going inside the top 24. After Tyreek Hill, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, T.H. Higgins, his teammate, Chase Brown, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, Kenneth Walker III, Lamar Jackson, Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, Josh Allen, George Kittle, me Timbers, Mike Evans, Alvin Kamara, Wiki, DJ Moore, Jaden, Stormy Daniels, Maserati Marv, Travis the Cuck Hunter, James Cook, Sam Laporta, and Devontae Smith. Look, I'm as big of a Travis Hunter fan as it gets. I really like Travis Hunter. I think this guy is going to be an incredible athlete at the NFL level, but I feel very gross. I feel absolutely disgusted by the idea of drafting him in the 4th round of a redraft league. Now, if you're over on Underdog, right, and you went ahead and you signed up using promo code Notorious and you wanted to enter onto these Best Ball Mania drafts, these Best Ball drafts, $2 million in prizes to the first place winner in Best Ball Mania, $15 million in total prize, right? If you want to head on over to Underdog and do that Best Ball draft where you don't have to set your lineup every single week, at the end of every single week, Underdog automatically puts the highest scores into your lineup for you, right? So if you're in that kind of a league, sure, I'm excited about a guy like Travis Hunter. If you sign up using promo code Notorious or click on the link in the video description, you will get a free pick plus a first-time deposit bonus offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Promo code Notorious or click on the link in the video description. I like Travis Hunter in those kind of drafts, right? Because his upside weekly is very high, because he's an incredible player. But there's going to be some games where maybe he is stuck on defense and maybe he's not getting as much time playing wide receiver. And I still do believe bdge is the clear alpha there. And while I do like Liam Cohen, how sold am I that he is going to completely turn the fucking ship, right the ship completely to where Travis Hunter is worthy of a 4th round pick? To me, I think that just screams very bad pick, and I am not touching him inside the 4th round in redrafts. Again, in best ball, I am drafting him because I believe the talent's there and the upside weekly is there for him, but it just feels wrong to me inside of the 4th round. So after him, James Cook, Sam Laporta, and Devontae Smith. So we're up to pick here all 4 of the, I guess the big 3 tight ends, right? McBride, Bowers, Kittle. They're all gone. So now we're in the Laporta range, who already went. We're in the TJ Hawkinson range. We're in the range of Travis Kelce, Evan Ingram, David Njoku. And to me, we've talked about this a decent amount. I don't actually dislike TJ Hawkinson. He was in a player to avoid video, and I don't want to be avoiding TJ Hawkinson because I think the guy reeks to high heaven, but I want to be avoiding him because I don't see much of a projection change in Hawkinson when you compare him to David Njoku or Jonnu Smith, who are going potentially 4 or 5 rounds later in a lot of leagues. So if I view them very similarly, why in the fuck am I going to draft one in the 4th round where I could get one a lot later? I think Jalen Hurts is a steaming value inside of the 4th or the 5th round of drafts. I think he could easily surpass Lamar, surpass Jaden Stormy Daniels, surpass Josh Allen, right? And become the quarterback 1, right? We are talking about a crazy amount of rushing upside. Again, great offensive line. They haven't banned the tush push. You can still tush push into the end zone. Jalen Hurts lives in the end zone. He scores a gazillion rushing touchdowns. He's still a super freak, a super fucking freak athlete out there. So I think in the 4th, the 5th round, you are getting a big value on Jalen Hurts. Now, for me, in a lot of leagues, I don't want to be dolphin diving into the quarterback position in the 4th or 5th round because I do like guys going late. Some leagues, like Justin Fields, kind of feels free. I think he has similar upside, right? But there is something that feels so great going into every single Sunday, for instance, right? Nick, they don't all always play on Sunday. You know, there's a game on Friday. There's games on Thursday. Yeah, blah, 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 Monday, right? I know that, but when you go into your Sunday matchup, right, and you have Jalen Hurts, you feel very confident, hey, this guy could put the team on his back. Darren Sharper, hold my dick, like that old school Madden video. So that's why I really like him in the 4th or the 5th round. But for this team where our wide receiver 1 is Tyreek, who I do, again, view as pretty risky, I want to go ahead and attack the wide receiver position some more here. The first team already has a tight end, so if we wanted a tight end in the 5th round, we could take him. But again, I kind of view the projection to be so similar that I just don't feel like it's not a waste of a pick, right? Because there is the upside that one of those guys is so much clearly better than the other. But for me, I'm not going to do that. We already have Saquon, and sure, you could say, hey, we're going to get every single rushing touchdown for the Eagles. I don't mind taking Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, but I'd rather do it in the 5th round compared to the 4th round. So we're going to go ahead and wait and go ahead and pick DK Metcalf here. The running back position, I like Chuba Hubbard. I like James Conner. I like Omarion Hampton. But if we already have Saquon Barkley, if we already drafted Josh Jacobs, do we really need our 3rd running back in the 4th round? The answer to that would be fuck no, baby. DK Metcalf has been a guy that I've been fading for years. I have been #1 DK Metcalf hater, but DK Metcalf is now in a situation where there's really no wide receiver options around him on the team. They have, sure, Calvin Austin, guys like that, but no one that can even hold the jockstrap of DK Metcalf. No one that is even on the remotely same level as DK Metcalf. So inside the 4th round, a guy that I could see easily being a top 10 receiver, again, getting laser eyes locked on focus from Aaron Rodgers. Sure, Arthur Smith is a complete and utter fucking dumbass. That's the type of guy that was eating glue back in 3rd grade. But DK Metcalf, I still do really believe in the talent there. And I get Aaron Rodgers wasn't great last year. I'm not going to sit here and get down on my knees and give the fucking Sukalamink special to Aaron Rodgers. But I do think Aaron Rodgers is competent enough to know to feed the ball to Metcalf. After that, RJ Harvey and James Conner. RJ Harvey, I think he's a talented running back. The addition of J.K. Dobbins definitely does scare me enough to be like, why the fuck am I going to draft him inside the 4th or the 5th round in this range when there are clear running back 1 players on the board like Chuba Hubbard? So we're going to go ahead here, and it's either going to be Jalen Hurts or it's going to be a wide receiver. I don't love Courtland Sutton. Like, Courtland Sutton to me kind of just feels like you're wrapping that condom around your team. Like, you just know what you're going to get. You're getting a top 28 wide receiver, but there are a lot of people talking about Pat Bryant, rookie wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, right? There are a lot of people that like him a lot based upon what I have read online. And now they have Evan Ingram, just adding some more extra competition. You know, maybe a much better running back attack compared to Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, Javonte McLaughlin? Khalil McLaughlin, not Javonte. Khalil McLaughlin, right? This is just a team that I like Bo Nix, but it seems like too pretty of a penny on Courtland Sutton. Again, he's fine. Like, you know what he's going to do every single week. But when I'm drafting a guy as a top 24 wide receiver, right, I can make the argument. I can draw the picture, paint the picture. I almost said Pedro Pascal, like the guy from The Last of Us, right? But Pablo Picasso, right? Paint the picture. Hey, Metcalf, you could see him as a top 12 receiver. You could see him as a top 5 receiver. Same thing with Hill. Can you paint this super strong picture where Courtland Sutton smashes and wins your league? To me, no. And I'm just going to get all of the running back points, all the rushing opportunity from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm getting Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley on the exact same team. Do I love pairing my quarterback with my running back? A lot of times, no, if I'm being honest with you, but we got to try different things, switch things up, right? It's like, you know, when you're getting older, you've been married for a couple years, right? And now magically your wife's dressing up as a nurse or a doctor, right? Or you're the police officer and you put some handcuffs on her, you know? That's always some fun time. You got to be switching things up. You got to do different things in the mock draft so that you're not going into your draft completely unprepared on if, oh my gosh, none of the quarterbacks are there, and then you shit your pants and you draft Kyler Murray in the 5th round or something crazy. So after Jalen Hurts, Calvin Ridley, Travis Kelce, Mr. Swift himself, Chuba Hubbard, Patrick Mahomes, Ted McMillan, Joe Mixon, Courtland Sutton, Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Omarion Hampton, Chris Breeze, Quinshawn Judkins, Khalil Shakira, Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Myers, TJ Hawkinson, Xavier Worthy, Evan Ingram, Travion Henderson, Mark Andrews, Aaron Jones, and Big Dick Bo Nix. So we're back up on the clock here. Ted McMillan is a guy that I'm just going to have to, I wish there was a way to just adjust the rankings here from them and just move up Ted McMillan, because I love Ted McMillan in the 5th round, and he just really is never ranked close to the top of the screen, so I always just, for some reason, don't see him, even though I do view him very highly this season. So we made the right move, taking a quarterback. We started a bit of a quarterback run. If we were to have to take a quarterback in the 6th round, you just don't do it right at this point when Kyler, Brock Purdy, all these guys are the best quarterbacks available. Now, I think these are some talented quarterbacks. I think, there's the upside case for a lot of these guys, but for me, when you're inside of the 6th round and you've seen all of these quarterbacks go, it's a straight up panic move to select one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 other teams are still in need of a quarterback, not including us though, so we don't even have to worry about that. Back up on the clock here, and I think it's just time to continue to hammer the wide receiver position. Zay Flowers falls to a range where I am more comfortable passing the ball. Selecting him. Zay Flowers is a very hit or miss type of wide receiver weekly. You're going to see some really low lows, right? Where you feel like you got absolutely fucking shafted because you started him, where he scores like 2 fantasy points, right? Where he gets 5 points, 6, 7 points, right? But there are the super highs where he's getting 20 plus points. I don't love him this season because you just know what the Ravens are, and they are this super run-heavy attack. But in the late 6th round, as my flex option weekly, who's not necessarily a super staple of my roster, I'm fine taking him in that range. And I think that's where he should be going. He shouldn't be going at pick 48 overall. To me, that's just a little bit egregious. And this is coming from a guy that's been talking about Zay Flowers for years, who's been hyping up Zay Flowers for years. It just never really ended up working out. So after Zay Flowers, George Pickens, followed by Justin Fields. And I love Justin Fields. I am going to be heavily talking him up all summer. I'm going to continue to bang the drum for Justin Fields. I'm going to have to move him up my quarterback rankings because I'm in love with the upside that Justin Fields possesses. But if you're talking about drafting Justin Fields in the 7th round, 3 picks after Bo Nix played, you just got fucking scammed, right? You ever seen that video where the little kid, he makes the meme coin and then he flips off the camera and he's like, scammer gets scammed, right? You just got scammed, buddy, like, because he just rug pulled and took all their money. Now this is like, I don't really understand all that kind of stuff, but if you do get the understanding, he basically just robbed all these people blind. It was pretty funny considering the kid was like 11 years old. Hammer gets scammed, buddy. It was very funny. So, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers comprise our team at this point. Now I want to get on here and just give the Gawk 9000 to just cup the balls, metaphorically, of course, of Chris Olave, to just really hoorah draft Chris Olave, because I like Chris Olave a lot. But we're entering into another season where the quarterback situation is dicey, and Chris Olave just continues and continues and continues to get hurt. Sure, he's looking healthy in OTAs, but this is a guy that continues to miss games, and it does scare me. I know 2023, he was relatively healthy, and he was the wide receiver 16, but the touchdowns have never really went his way. I don't love Tyler Shuck. I don't love Spencer Rattler, the Rattler Snake himself. So I just don't feel comfortable really diving onto him. Now, at pick 74, he is a talented enough player to, sure, if I'm doing 15 drafts, right, if I'm doing 10 home leagues, I'm probably going to draft Chris Olave on one of them. Because I can see the path towards greatness out of him because I think he's a very talented player. But the quarterback position scares me. It's a new head coach, new team. It's just not like, if this is my one home league draft, like I'm doing my one league with my buddies, with the office, at work, with my college friends, with whoever the fuck, your family, right? You're going up against your aunts, your uncles, your grandpa, your grandma. You're taking them to the cleaners, right? Because you watch Notorious Fantasy, you watch these other fantasy analysts, and you're a genius, right? Just don't take Chris Olave. There's just too much risk there. Sure, an underdog. That's the kind of league where I'm fine on that platform drafting Chris Olave. But here, like in my home league, to me, there's just a little too much risk there. Chris Godwin, I wish we could get a very, very, very strong report on Chris Godwin. I don't want to feel duped like I did by Christian McCaffrey last year. Another Chris, right? Because if Chris Godwin is good to go, like if they say, hey, he's going to be good by week 3, and we feel very confident about that, I'm just going to smash draft him because the upside was exquisite last year. His finishes were crazy. He was going nuclear. He was even popping off up against the Ravens before he ended up getting hurt. So if we can feel very confident about how he's going to be on the field super early and there's no like complications, then yeah, I'd feel very confident about Chris Godwin in the 7th round. Right now, though, it does feel a little bit dicey, and especially since we have drafted him in a more recent mock draft video, I'll probably end up going a different way at the wide receiver position. And I'm going to go ahead and get Jerry Jeudy here. I know some people might say this is a reach, and he did have the breakout season that we've all been waiting for, which is what that guy wrote. Because for years, you were taking Jerry Jeudy, and he was just taking your lunch money. He was shoving you in a fucking locker. He was bitching you every single year. But last year, he popped off on the Browns. Quarterback situation, very confusing, but Jerry Jeudy is the clear wide receiver #1, and we saw him put up big numbers last year with some very bad quarterback play, so I think if Joe Flacco is the guy, we're going to see a pretty solid season out of Jerry Jeudy, and you're able to get that nice value on him because the fact that no one is very confident in the quarterback situation, and around him at the wide receiver position, there aren't really any guys that, in my opinion, are clearly vying for that wide receiver 1 role on the team to be the alpha #1 guy. So after Jerry Jeudy, DeAndre Swift, Dak Prescott, David Montgomery, Deebo Samuel, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne Jr., Jameson Williams, Javonte Williams. I mean, dude, if you take Javonte Williams in the 7th round, you need to be neutered. That is a terrible pick. Tony Pollard, Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, I almost called him Travis Tracy, Tyrone Tracy Jr. Then we got Brian Robinson. Then we got Kyler Murray, Rome Odunze, Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, and Chris Godwin. The running back position is barren like you are the president's son, and it is not good. Hashtag not good. Now, the fact that we have Saquon, the fact that we have Josh Jacobs, I'm not too worried, but this is kind of a scary range in the draft at the running back position. I think Ramondre is not the clear lead back in New England. I think Henderson's taken that. I think Hampton's taken Najee's job. Najee's like a fine handcuff, sure. If something was to happen to Marion Hampton, you're going to get nice 12-point games out of Najee, but what really is the upside? Right? Like Ramondre, at least you could say, hey, you know what? If Henderson doesn't take the job, I actually think Ramondre Stevenson's pretty good. I just know what Najee is. He's this fine 12 points. Maybe if he gets in the end zone, he's scoring 16 and it's a red panty night type of deal, Conor McGregor, but I don't really want to be drafting him. I'd rather take Tajay Spears, but I do believe Tajay Spears will fall to me. So we are going to go tight end here. And since we don't have a tight end yet, David Njoku or Jonnu Smith, we already took Jerry Jeudy, so we don't need to take 2 bets out on the same exact team on the Cleveland Browns offense, right? So we're going to go ahead and take Jonnu Smith of the Miami Dolphins. Now, he hasn't reported to minicamp. It seems like maybe there's going to be a trade. Probably not, though. I think they're just trying to figure out the contract situation. A lot of people say last year was a fluke. It was Fugazi, Awazi, and Awuzie because for the career of Jonnu Smith in Tennessee, people liked him, but he didn't really do shit. And then he goes to New England, and people talk about, oh my God, maybe he's better than Hunter Henry. He doesn't do shit. Then he's in Atlanta, and he's actually outplaying Kyle Pitts. And then last year in Miami, the floodgates opened, and he was dominating defenses. He was the best part of the Dolphins' offense. Now, I do believe that in the offseason, Mike McDaniel's going to figure things out, right? He's not going to get absolutely face-fucked by the double too high safety gel that a lot of defenses are playing that's really inhibiting the Dolphins from being ferocious. But I think Jonnu Smith's still going to be heavily involved. So I'm just going to draft him here in the 8th round because I think he could finish as that top 3, top 4 tight end. Nick, you didn't want to draft 2 Browns, but you're fine drafting 2 Dolphins. Nick, that's because you're a Dolphins fan. You're a Dolphins dick rider. And people will always say this. I promise you I am not, because if you watch my videos 6 years ago or whenever I started this, and the Dolphins were absolutely dog shit, so bad, you had to juke them out on the street when you're walking type of deal. And where the college I went to, there was actually a bunch of geese that were dropping dumps. Really annoying to walk past. But Tyreek Hill and Jonnu, I'm fine having those guys on my team again because I think the upside of the Dolphins offense is a top 5 offense. I'd say the offense of the Browns, their upside is offense number 20, something like that. 25, probably, if we're being honest. After Jonnu, Cam, I'm a scat man, bop, and Jordan, the numbers Mason. What do they mean? So at this point, we do need to take a running back. There have been some talks about how the team really wants to get Tajay Spears more utilized here, and it to be more of a 1-2 punch with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears instead of kind of just a Tony Pollard fucking, what would you even call that, hierarchy, like a Tony Pollard offense. Now, I've been fooled into Tajay Spears before, but in the 9th round here, when we already have a pretty solidified running back room. If something happened to Pollard, I think Tajay Spears could actually be really good, especially since I think the Titans offense is going to look a whole lot better than they did last season with Will Levis. And I'm going to miss watching Will Levis, not because I actually think Will Levis is really that good, but because it was fun watching Will Levis, right? He had all those moments where he would just do like the dumbest thing possible. Like he would be like, fuck it, some random wide receiver you've never heard of is out there somewhere and just heave it to him. Fuck it, Calvin Ridley's out there somewhere. It was actually fun to watch, but he would do some crazy bad things with the football, and it was just enjoyable to watch. I'm sure if you're a Titans fan, though, you completely disagree with all of what I've said. So after Tajay Spears, Jaden Riley Reed, Ramondre Stevenson, Justin Herbert the pervert, Emike Agbuka, Michael Pittman Jr., Najee Harris, Rico Dowdle. You might just get hit with the Rico McMitty, Josh Downs, Jordan Adesire, Tank Bigsby, Rashad with 2 A's, White, Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings. Ricky Pearsall going ahead of Jawan Jennings. That is just that's a joke. Brandon Ayuk, all 3 49ers going back to back to back. Stephon Diggs, Austin Eckler, Keon Coleman, Tyler Algier, Hollywood Brown, drafting Hollywood Brown in big 2025 is crazy work. And then Christian Kirk. We're going to go ahead and snag Darnell. Here comes the Mooney. This is a guy I'm going to be attacking aggressively in drafts. I know Darnell Mooney hasn't had the best career when he was in Chicago, but he seems to have had his career revitalized, reborn in Atlanta. I think if him and Michael Penix are able to develop a much better connection, we could really see Darnell Mooney be soaring and flying in 2025. I definitely like Drizzy Drake London a lot more than Darnell Mooney, but this is just a safe flex option that you're able to get in the 10th round with top 24 upside if the Atlanta Falcons offense does really ascend, how I believe they could. After Darnell Mooney, Baishal Tootin, and then Trey Harris. So we're going to go ahead here, and we definitely need at least one more running back, in my opinion. We already got Jonnu Smith, so I don't think we need to get a tight end, unless, of course, like Jonnu Smith starts holding out or something. Then he would probably just be completely off my board. And we drafted Jalen Hurts in the 5th round, so all drafting a Caleb Williams or a Jared Goff or a Brock Purdy does is confuse the ever-living shit out of you every single week, because what's going to happen is you're going to be like, oh man, the Eagles are going up against some defense that scares me. I'm scared. And then you fucking sub out Jalen Hurts, and then Jalen Hurts just goes ballistic all over the defense. He's hitting him with the 1-2. He's hitting him how Ilya Taporia hit my boy Charles Dubronx Oliveira. How Tom Aspinall would have hit John Barnes Jones. So, yeah, I don't want anything to do with a second quarterback, and I don't want anything to do with the second tight end. Embe, no. We're going to go running back here, and we're going to go ahead, and I kind of like Ray Davis. I think he's going to be a little bit more involved this year, but this is just really a handcuff range. Outside of, J.K. Dobbins, who could be the starter for week 1, I think I am going to take J.K. Dobbins here, because if he does potentially fend off RJ Harvey, that could be just a bountiful pick inside of the 11th round, even though I don't think that's like super likely, and J.K. Dobbins gets hurt tying up his cleats, so you kind of just know he's going to get hurt, but he is a valuable piece if he stays healthy. After J.K. Dobbins, then we see Tucker Kraft, McAtrees, Jerome Ford, F-150, C.J. Stroud, Tyler Warren, Matthew Golden Scar, Ray Davis, Kyle Monjay, David Njoku, Dalton Kincaid, Luther Burden, Trey Benson, Braylon Allen, Jalen Wright, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, my goat is back, Isaac Garendo, Marshawn Lloyd, Jadon, Bonnie Blue, Rashid Shaheed, Juan Dale, Robinson Dale, shout out to Pitbull, and Roshan Johnson. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs, 1, 2, 3, 4 wide receivers, 5 wide receivers. I lied. I don't know how to count. Need to go watch some Elmo, learn how to count. We'll go with another running back here. And we're going to go ahead and take Dylan Sampson. I've seen a lot of people hyping up to Dylan Sampson, but we're actually going to take Miles Sanders, because there have been some reports that Miles Sanders could be the running back 1 on the Cowboys. And look, I understand Miles Sanders has really never been all that great for fantasy. And look, I understand Javonte Williams. Oh, Javonte Williams is the starter. We thought the same thing last year. We thought that was going to bring us some fantasy points in Denver, and we saw how that played out. So we're just going to go ahead and take Miles Sanders here with basically our last pick, because the last 2 are going to be defense and kicker. We're going to go ahead and get Brandon Aubrey, because in my opinion, he's the best kicker in fantasy. That dude is fucking automatic from like 55 yards out. Great demon kicking the ball. And then for a defense, what you're going to do is just draft a defense that's playing up against a not so hot offense in week 1. And then every single week, I post videos on my channel which defenses to pick up. It's going to be a video every single Monday. That video comes out in the morning, and then in the afternoon, or closer to like nighttime, close to kickoff of Monday Night Football, you'll actually get my players that I want to be picking up on the waiver wire. So make sure you check out the defense video. It is the best way to get an advantage on your league mates. I'm being 100% every single week. Having that defense that could really give you 15, 20 plus points is huge. Now I understand why some people are like, oh, I really like this defense. I think they're one of the best defenses in the league, so I want to keep them every week. But they're going to run into some buzzsaw offenses, and it's really hard every single year to actually decipher which defense is going to continue to step up and play how well they played last year. So the Chargers, they're going up against the Chiefs. Pretty sure that game's on Friday. That is a complete and utter dodge. The Rams going up against the Texans. I like the Texans, but the Rams defense is pretty decent in my opinion. Like, I think they could be good. And the Texans might start off a little bit slow without Diggs, without Tank Dell, right? Just a different look offense. They could start off slower, and the Rams defense, they've got Jared Verse, they've got some dogs. Maybe they end up trading for Jalen Ramsey, which would hurt like a butt cheek on a stick because I want him to stay on the Dolphins, because if he does not stay on the Dolphins, our cornerback room fucking sucks. Shout out Bonnie Blue. We're going to go with the LA Rams defense here. We got a C+. And you know what? Some people will be like, Nick, you got a C+. You stink at drafting. Don't worry about whatever draft grade you get, because it doesn't matter at the end of the season when you're holding up the Lombardi trophy, when you're laughing to the bank like, ha, 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 with all the money you won in your league, or just the pride of winning. If you play in a bunch of free leagues, that's okay as well. Make sure you guys do check out Underdog, promo code Notorious to get that free pick, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And to recap our team, we got Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Janu Smith, Zay Flowers. The Rams defense, Brandon Aubrey, Jerry Judy, Big Booty Judy, Tajay Spears, Darnell, here comes the Mooney, J.K. Dobbins, and Miles Sanders. Hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's video. It helps me out a ton. Check out one of the videos on your screen if you haven't seen them already. Love you a long time. Have a great one. And as always, good boy.